Welcome! The Racial Equity and Implicit Bias Statewide Initiative is a series of learning programs designed to support a more equitable and inclusive California. The work you do to support children and families across California is valuable and needed work. Understanding the history and impact of racial inequities and implicit bias gives you even more tools to serve your clients and program participants. You have the power to create a meaningful impact that helps your community thrive. So, where can you start? Becoming aware of the biases that may unconsciously affect your interactions and decision-making processes will help ensure the services that you provide are delivered fairly and equitably. Self-awareness through the lens of social identity allows you to build stronger relationships, foster trust, and create an inclusive environment where individuals and families from all backgrounds feel respected and valued. By the end of our time together, you will have a better understanding of how the history of our nation, specifically in the state of California, plays a significant role in structural and systemic inequities within safety net programs. We will discuss how county staff can help reduce inequity in California through the thoughtful, culturally relevant delivery of social safety net programs. And finally, we'll provide a brief introduction to social identity and why it is important to understand and acknowledge how your identity impacts daily interactions with coworkers, program participants, and our communities. Throughout this video, you will be introduced to several terms, some of which may already be familiar, while others may be new to you. Definitions will be displayed on the screen, allowing you to enhance your awareness and expand your knowledge. We also invite you to access the REIB Statewide Initiative website to view our complete REIB glossary of terms. Racism can be individual and interpersonal. This refers to a person's own racist assumptions, beliefs, or behaviors. For example, when someone uses a racist slur, this is individual racism, and it's also part of a racist system. Racism can also be institutionalized. This refers to the historical, cultural, and interpersonal processes, policies, and dynamics that routinely advantage white people while creating adverse outcomes for people of color. For example, in US businesses, we have historically valued quote, correct, unquote, English and considered other dialects and ways of speaking to be inferior. This advantages white, middle-class, US-born people and disadvantages anyone who did not grow up speaking this way. Gaining a comprehensive understanding of the historical roots of systemic racism is essential in formulating impactful strategies and programs aimed at tackling and alleviating its long-standing effects. By spending time understanding how we got here, we come to acknowledge that acts of racism, discrimination, and bias are not arbitrary incidents. Rather, they are simply manifestations of a deeply entrenched system that continues to persist in our society. Racism is a multifaceted and intricate issue, encompassing a broad spectrum of social, economic, and political factors directly influencing the equitable distribution and accessibility of state and government-funded benefits. While some might feel our nation has moved away from the deep-rooted racism of the past, those who have historically been oppressed feel the remnants of our country's history regularly. It still shows up in various ways. Systemic racism shows up in insufficient basic services, like lack of access to clean drinking water in Central California, punitive requirements such as welfare-to-work participation requirements, and unjust policy application including over-policing and racial profiling. Within interpersonal interactions, it is crucial to acknowledge the profound impact that biases and microaggressions have on an individual's sense of belonging, particularly within marginalized groups. Bias describes an inclination or preference that generally interferes with judgment and decision-making. Bias can be implicit, subconscious and indirect, or explicit, conscious and direct. Biases, whether implicit or explicit, can perpetuate stereotypes, contribute to discriminatory behaviors, and hinder equitable treatment. Microaggressions are the everyday verbal, nonverbal, and environmental slights, snubs, or insults, whether intentional or unintentional, which communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative messages to target persons based solely on their marginalized group membership. Microaggressions can undermine well-being and a sense of belonging. Recognizing and addressing these biases and microaggressions is vital in fostering inclusive and respectful environments that validate the experiences and perspectives of all individuals, regardless of their background or identity. California is actively working to create policies that support more equitable outcomes within state-sponsored programs. However, people from marginalized groups and communities, and more specifically, recipients of statewide safety net programs, are still encountering historical barriers that limit their ability to move out of poverty and thrive. Some inequities in access relate to policies that specifically limit a marginalized community's ability to access basic services. In California, the housing crisis, food deserts, and water quality are all examples of discrimination over time impacting outcomes. California has the opportunity to support safety net programs like CalWORKs and CalFresh to help reduce inequities within state and government-funded programs. As a county worker, you have a unique opportunity to promote equitable access to state and government-funded benefits. One of those ways is to understand how a person's social identity plays a critical role in their experience with CalWORKs and CalFresh. Social identity refers to membership in one of the groups, either dominant or marginalized, that experience power and privilege differently in society based on shared characteristics, whether real or perceived. These identities are founded upon a wide range of characteristics, including but not limited to age, race, ethnicity, culture, sex, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, religion, ability, and others. An individual's social identity is often characterized by multiple intersections. A client or program participant might simultaneously hold several marginalized identities, leading to compound inequities that must be acknowledged and addressed. The intersections of our different social identities contribute to the complexity of oppression. Intersectionality, a concept developed by Kimberly Crenshaw, is, quote, a lens through which you can see where power comes and collides, where it interlocks and intersects. It's not simply that there's a race problem here, a gender problem here, and a class or LGBTQ problem there. Many times that framework erases what happens to people who are subject to all of these things. Failure to account for intersecting identities can intensify racial inequities by disregarding the distinct obstacles encountered by marginalized communities. By embracing an intersectional perspective, we can better understand and address the complex interplay of identities and experience, leading to more inclusive and effective strategies for promoting equity and justice. Further, social identity can influence individuals' attitudes and behaviors towards state and government-funded benefit programs, as well as their perceptions of the recipients and the overall legitimacy of the programs themselves. Staff and county workers, like all individuals, hold unconscious biases that shape their perceptions and decision-making processes. These biases can influence how they interact with applicants from different identity groups when determining eligibility, which could lead to disparities in benefit allocation. These disparities due to unconscious biases can perpetuate racial inequities, contributing to an unequal distribution of resources and hindering the goal of creating an equitable system that meets the needs of all individuals, regardless of their background. By raising awareness of these biases and their potential impact on client and program participant experience, you can develop awareness and equitable practices to mitigate their influence. Recognizing the root causes and systems that have perpetuated racial disparities over time allows us to approach our work with greater empathy and cultural sensitivity. It enables us to identify and dismantle the systemic barriers that hinder progress and perpetuate inequity. Thank you for joining us in this training and work. We are so excited to collaborate with you all in our efforts to disrupt poverty in California and create a more equitable future.